Phil Phails. Whoa, Phil Phails. Welcome to Phil Phails. My name is Philip Jones, and today I'm joined by Ashtyn Johnson. She is a running and lifting coach, and her company's called Propulsion.
Yes.
Yeah. Wave to everybody. Ashtyn, they live in these cameras here.
Yeah.
Today, Phil fails at lifelong learning. Ashtyn has invested a ton of time throughout her life getting certificates, going to school, kind of iterating on growth, iterating on improvement that's around kind of how would you describe it? 14 certificates.
Yeah. I would describe it on growth and development everywhere, though. Like, just because I have certs in lifting doesn't mean that it doesn't go into my everyday life.
Yeah.
So, growth and development everywhere.
Yeah, because
You can never learn too much.
yeah, ceramics,
I love it.
lithography.
Yes.
You're in school now taking entrepreneur classes. You're always kind of investing your time and energy and money in
Yeah.
learning and growth.
Yes.
That helps you in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes me a better coach too, because I get to problem solve in different ways, which then helps me be able to approach any of my clients in different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably to relate to people.
It definitely makes me more relatable to a lot more different people, because sometimes you just are always just in your own world and you're only thinking about your perspective, but being able to see other people's perspective does make me have a different mindset and insight on how to reach out to others. And so I think that because I've been going to so much school, it's really helped me be able to hit such a wider demographic and not just uh just endurance athletes, because that's
Yeah.
kind of what it was at first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Ashtyn because she trains me at a gym in town called Crux. Not everybody here watching this is going to be from Austin. They might not know about it, but Crux is a bouldering gym predominantly, but they also have, some of the locations have lead and rock climbing,
Yeah.
but also a wonderful fitness program and
Yoga.
yoga.
Yeah.
And I've been going to your classes
Since I started.
for a long time.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like,
You're looking real.
but over that time, I've seen a lot of improvement, and I've also connected with you in a very real way.
I think that you've also changed the way that you look at lifting too.
Yeah.
You definitely were resistant to kettlebells initially,
Mm-hmm.
but that's because you weren't educated on them and you were ignorant to them and you didn't understand or know the potential that you could get from it.
Yeah. Now I'm always grabbing a kettlebell.
Yeah.
I don't ever I'll grab a dumbbell maybe for thrusters or something, but
yeah. Well, you don't want to use a kettlebell for thrusters.
I know.
That would hurt.
Yeah, it would hurt. But yeah, so that's the backstory on Ashtyn and I. She has been a part of my fitness journey.
Yeah.
And a part of my lifelong learning. Being the type of coach that is very detail-oriented.
Yes.
There's a bunch of types of coaches. I've got, when I go up there, I take Ryan's class. I also take Cameron's class. I take Gabby's. I take Will's. I take a lot of different classes up there.
Yeah.
And yours is very unique in that you take one movement, let's just say the Turkish get up.
Yeah.
And you break it down into not only the pre-stretching, opening up your hips. You break down what you need to be available before you get into the movement.
Yes.
Then you show the movement in for Turkish get-ups, I think we did 3 days of it. It was just the beginning before you even stand up, and then it was standing up, and then it was getting back down, and it was really intentional and detail-oriented.
Yeah, so I broke it down like that week to week because there's so much to learn about the Turkish get up, and it's so many movements in one specific movement. And so I did it a couple of times, and one of the first times that I did it, I broke it up and just had people doing floor press and then half get up. And then like the next week it was working um just overhead back lunges, which
Mhm.
is a portion, but not like necessarily like top down of the get up. But I broke it down to simplify it so that people could chew it a little bit more and actually understand what they're doing instead of just trying to get from the ground and stand up and maybe do it inappropriately or unsafely, which
Yeah.
is what is the whole reason I am so detail oriented is for safety and longevity. I want people to be able to do the things that they want to do for as long as they want to do it, as long as they can,
Yeah.
like, and do it well and not be inhibited by injury or chronic disease or anything like
Heck
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you apply that same methodology to whatever it is we're learning, whether it's pull-ups, whether it's,
Yes.
push-ups, whether it's, pistol squats, whether it's, I've gone through a lot of these movement types with you. And now in all the other classes, when they're like, "Hey, we're doing this," and everybody gives a demonstration of it,
Yeah.
you're in my head.
Yelling.
little Ashton in my head, like, okay, stop at every section of the movement and do
Yeah.
it. Think about it, each section, and then move on to the next section. And like, this is how you do it. Whether it's the way that I move my hand out from my knee when I'm, all those things.
Moving with intention.
Yeah,
Yeah. Moving to breath, moving with intention, learning how to recognize and kind of respect the weight because doing it with a weight or without a weight, you notice like, oh, there's a lot more to it.
yeah,
Like the yoga block for
yeah.
the get up,
hmm
boy, how difficult.
Balancing the yoga
Yeah,
block. Yeah,
because it's light. It's nothing, but it's more tangible than nothing in your hand.
yeah.
It gives you that feedback to say, "Hey, slow down, buddy."
And you're looking at it
Yeah.
just like you're looking at the kettlebell. You're
Yeah.
looking at that weight.
Yeah, it gives you visual feedback so you can see something visually in your hand, and it's going to be the distance that a kettlebell will be. It's not
hmm
going to be further away, so you're not like looking somewhere on the wall. You're actually looking at a physical thing. And then it makes you have to balance it, which makes you have to slow down.
Heck yeah. So you use all of those tools in each exercise. And today we're talking about lifelong learning, and it'll be kind of through the lens of fitness to some
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
The next thing we're going to do is do Phil Fails 5 questions,
Sweet.
where I ask you 5 questions about lifelong learning. And we'll start with the first one. So, how would someone fail at lifelong learning? And we're joined today in this interview by a fly.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry.
No, we're both there. Ashton and I are both ADHD.
Yes.
You
And
might,
it's like killing me because I'm like, oh, I am so here.
he like landed on my hand there.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So the way that people can fail at lifelong learning is to have a closed mindset.
Closed mindset.
Yeah.
So that's like, I've heard this stated as like a fixed mindset,
Fixed mindset, closed
concrete. Yeah.
mindset, concrete. Yeah. Like, I mean, there's many ways, and it's kind of unfortunate how catchy it is right now. It's like open mindset and closed mindset. And like, it's very jazzercise of buzzwords.
Well, this,
But it is very important, and the point that anybody is making is that you should never have the idea that like, "Oh, I'm done. I mastered it. I've been doing this for years." And I mean, I was in powerlifting in high school. I did cross country and track in high school. Directly after high school, I went into marathoning, but I haven't mastered anything. And I'm learning just as much as all of my clients. It's just that I'm learning at a different perspective
yeah,
or different level or chapter in my life.
stage of mastery,
Yes.
maybe.
But it's all like if you're trying to master a skill, you will be forever practicing it.
Yeah.
Same with other issues in your life. Like if you have boundary issues, then you have to forever practice it. Don't assume that you work on this and it's great right now, that it's going to be great forever. There's going to be something that will be like a little baby bump, or maybe it's a massive hill or a mountain that comes into your life, and then you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
But you can't just let it go. You've got to be aware of it and then move on and then continue to keep practicing, or you're never going to continue to keep learning and growing.
In some professions, it's very clear what it is. Like you have a legal practice.
Yeah.
You have like a chiropractic practice.
Yeah.
And it alludes to we're forever learning.
Yes.
My buddy, one of my best friends is a doctor, and he said one of the things he does the most is reading the latest things that are happening, the
Yes.
latest information about a topic. So he's constantly improving, constantly learning, constantly kind of updating his ideas around things.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I have a lot of certs because of that.
Yeah.
Like I have certs in things that I don't necessarily fully believe in, but it solidifies me in why I have my beliefs. And I have an occupational therapy degree, but I will never be in the medical industry. That's not my goal. That wasn't my dream, but that is all transferable to my coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so I utilize all of that and the psychological backing of everything of it in my coaching, and that's what makes my coaching different, and I want to help people to have that different perspective because I think that for me personally, that's when I really started to notice a shift in everything in my life.
What is occupational therapy? I took my kids to it when they
Mhm.
were young,
Yeah.
but I don't know that I ever really
So it
understood
is
it.
like the most wildest thing. I don't know why it's something different. Let's just say that. Like occupational therapy, they work on your everyday skills. Like someone that was in a bombing and lost their arm. They are there to teach them how to do the skill that they used to have, like brushing their teeth, but in a new way. And so it's a very like innovative tool to use. Like their skills are to work on helping people do the things that they used to do or normally do, their occupations. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're you're just like brushing your hair, washing your face,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things, getting dressed. If you don't have that arm anymore, you need to find a new way of doing it. And so that's what an occupational therapist is there to do. It's not just PT, like physical therapy, which they can do that too. Like they can look at, okay, we have a torn ACL. These are the exercises we need to do
Right.
after surgery in order to strengthen said knee. And so it's kind of really broad. And I think that that's where occupational therapists or the whole industry kind of struggles is because it's so broad and they're not focusing on the psychological backing that they're giving or providing, and that they're creating these new ways or innovative ways to handle day to day life. And I think that in the medical industry, it would do a lot better if all of that was being stated more often.
More clearly.
Yes, because I feel like, yeah, I mean, because it's vast. Like speech therapy is part of OT.
Oh.
Yeah. And then like working on textile or dexterity, that's all OT. Learning how to, write or manipulate things after a stroke. Um, sh- so it's just like such a huge, wide range of potential assistance and aid to a very, very wide population. It's not just old people, it's not just young people, it's everywhere in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I liked it and I didn't go with PT because a lot of people ask me, like, why didn't you do physical therapy? But I feel like, and I'm not knocking on PT because I think it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the things that I do, even with our warm ups and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
is PT
Right.
or PT related. And but I think having the ability to zoom in and zoom out is very important. And sometimes I think certain professions get very narrowed in and they're just like, elbow has boo boo, fix elbow boo boo. Instead of why does elbow have boo boo and what
Yeah.
is causing this issue with the elbow? Was it an event or is this like a chronic issue that keeps recurring?
Like a movement, like what is it? Like persistent movement. You do the same
Yeah.
movement a bunch.
Yeah,
And
and you might not feel injured right off the bat, but if you keep opening and shutting a bobby pin, it
repetitive
will
motion.
eventually break.
Right.
Yeah,
Repetitive. Yeah. That makes sense.
and if it's repetition in poor form, which is why I'm so detail oriented, that's what's going to make the bobby pin break.
It might not be the first time, it might not be the 50th time,
Yeah.
but over time
Yeah,
you're working these areas in
yeah,
ways that will make them vulnerable to stress
yes,
or
yeah.
failure.
Yeah, because if you're not looking at where the weaknesses and imbalances are coming from and then like targeting them, then you're only allowing everything that's compensating to get stronger.
Yeah. So to fail at lifelong learning, you have a closed mindset, some static view of the world. You're not updating.
Yeah.
You're like, the
You've
world is,
perceived that you've mastered it all, whatever that mastery would be.
yeah,
Yeah. There's nothing left.
I'm done.
No.
I'm finished.
Yeah.
I'm
Which,
baked.
wow, that would be great. Right?
Yeah.
What does that feel like? I wish I had that kind of confidence.
Yeah. Second question. What is success in lifelong learning? What does it look like when you're
I think it's keep trying and learning how to let go.
letting go?
Yes, like not keep holding on to grudges or, understanding that you have this feeling and then like moving forward, making, time expirations on your feelings like, oh, I didn't do well on this test. I can retake it. I'm going to, you always make a plan, right? You fail a test and you have to retake it. Okay, I'm going to study. This is how much time I'm going to study, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you have feelings around the test and you have all this plan for your next test, you should probably also make a plan on letting your feelings go about the test.
Something around
Because
acceptance.
yes, because you've gotta understand that that was just a learning experience, and it doesn't mean that you're a better or worse person. Or you might not be great at testing.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at testing. I failed my first OT test, and it's not that I don't know how to do it. If it was a practical and I had to, like, verbally or do some sort of scenario in person, I would have been great. But the second you put me in a cube room with a screen and I'm just supposed to sit here for hours on end. It's
Yeah.
just not a good recipe for success for me.
Right.
And I've always known that about myself and I've been working on it and I'm definitely getting better. So but it takes time and you have to let it go. You can't keep harboring all those feelings forever. It eats you away.
Yeah. I'm hearing resilience.
Yeah.
I'm hearing acceptance,
Yes.
like having a can-do attitude,
Yeah.
but also awareness of where you are.
Realistic. You
Yeah.
have to have a realistic mindset and you have to put realistic expectations on everything that you're doing. You can't expect to run a sub 3 hour marathon if you've never ran a marathon before.
You have to start from where you are.
Yes.
And I think,
And be okay with that.
yeah,
And stop comparing yourself to other people because they don't matter.
well, you'll never get to where you want to be if you don't
If
kind of
you're,
suffer
yes,
through being imperfect.
if
I
you
talk
don't
about this a lot.
focus on where you're at
Yeah.
and you're too busy like looking over there,
Yeah.
it's not going to set you up for success.
And making those
Yeah.
small improvements along the
Yes.
way. You're not going to go from my daughter's been running and
Mhm.
she wants to get to an 8-minute mile,
Oh,
somewhere around there.
that makes me happy.
And it's hard. I run with her and
Yeah.
I probably hold her back, but we're not going to get to an 8-minute mile until we get to a 9.5-minute mile, until
Oh,
we get to a
yes.
9-minute mile,
Yes.
until we get a 8:45-minute mile, until we get 8:30. You know,
Well,
it's this gradual iteration towards the goal.
yes, and having an educational approach to the goal or making sure that you have a support team that can back that, like her running coach. If she's in cross country, she has a cross country coach.
Yeah.
Her cross country coach is providing her program to be able to get closer to that.
Yeah.
As long as she continues to be consistent and works on it, she's going to start to see results. It might not be as fast as she wants it to be, but then we're going back to realistic expectations
Yeah.
because very, very experienced athletes are elated over a second, 1 second, one singular second of a PR
Mhm.
because they have gone so close to their threshold and they've been so experienced in doing this for so long. They don't have very much that they're going to be able, there's not going to be these big hops.
Right.
Whereas when I started marathoning, I shaved 20 minutes off of my time every marathon for the first 4 marathons. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
20 minutes?
20 minutes. But that's because I went from being really ignorant in the situation to still being ignorant, but less ignorant, you know?
Yeah,
Because I was kind of just
you
flying
were
by the seat of
learning.
my pants. The whole reason I got into marathoning is because somebody asked me to. They said, "Hey, I'm going to do the Houston Marathon. Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Fine." And that's how I've gotten in a lot of things in my life. It was like,
Fine.
that's how I got into powerlifting. That's how I got into cross country. My friend was running. She's like, "Hey, I got to go for a run. You want to run with
You
me?"
want
And
to
I was
go?
like,
You're like,
"Sure."
yeah, I want to hang.
And then she was like, "Hey, I am on the cross country team. You should join it." And I was like, "Okay." And then I did because I had no guidance at home. So I was just like, well, I mean, I guess.
I'm really glad it
Yeah.
wasn't like a negative influence, people asking you to do stuff. Like, hey, we're gonna go rob this bank. You down? You'd be like, okay, sure.
No, I mean, I'm sure I had some of that in my life too. I did have terrible people around me, but like,
Shenanigans.
yeah, most of the times that I made these big, like, weird changes in my life was because somebody just asked me.
Yeah.
And
And you said yes.
yes, but that was like just out of the ignorance and silliness of my little me.
Well,
It wasn't because
success
I was
could,
like, I'm scared and this sounds like a great idea, like today.
yeah, it isn't through the lens of
Yeah.
this
No.
like,
Which,
but it is saying yes to new opportunity. That's
yeah.
part of lifelong learning. You're saying yes to
Yeah.
experience. You're saying yes. And I imagine there were things that you tried through saying yes that you said, oh, these
Oh,
aren't for me.
yeah. Yeah.
But then things that were for you, you continued doing.
Yes. Yeah.
So there was like this default or a little bit of bias towards letting experience be your teacher.
Yes.
I'm going to experience it and then make a decision,
Yes.
as
Yeah.
opposed to, when I think about running, that seems like something that you do all that, mental stuff. You're like,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna get out there
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do
I
it.
had a huge mental setback about my education for years because I have 14 certifications, but like I acquired them and I, appreciate them. And none of that information has left my brain. It's not like an expiration date and then it explodes out of your brain. But I never valued it as much as like everybody else's college education. But it's not true. That's not factual. It's just as important. It's just different.
Yeah.
And so for the longest time, I was really scared to go to school. And that's why I didn't start school. I didn't even know it was an opportunity, though. Let's get that straight. Because I knew school was expensive and I didn't know how anybody did it unless you had parents that paid for it or you were DJ Smarty Pants and you could just get it paid for because they were like, she's smart. I'm going to give her money.
Yeah.
So I just didn't think that it was like going to even be an opportunity. And then one of my clients actually paid for my first semester.
Oh,
And that's what pushed me because I was just like, you know, kind of dragging my heels. And I mentioned it to her once. And then she was like, "How much is it?" And I was like, "Oh, it's like $600, like I'm just going to try to save up money." And then she just wrote me a check. She's like, "This is nothing," which is gross that she
you had a
acted like that,
patron. You had a
but
patron.
she like, she supported me.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and then I did it, and now I want to reach out to her because she definitely moved away, and, I just wanna be like, "Now I have 3 degrees. Hmm. Aren't you proud of me?"
Boom.
Yeah, she'd be really happy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Success in lifelong learning, from what I'm hearing, is keep trying.
Yes.
So I think like fall down 5 times, get up 6.
8.
Fall down 7
Yeah.
times, get up 8. Like
Yeah.
you're not letting failure be the end of the story.
Well,
You're
reflect.
continuing to
Yeah.
move forward.
Reflect on why you fell down.
Yeah.
Look
Then
at
yeah.
your whole picture. When you test out for lifting, let's say you're doing your deadlift test and you already PR'd the last time you tested out, and this is like 8 weeks later.
PR means personal
Personal.
record.
Yes. Excuse me.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So you went through all your programming, you were consistent with your programming, but you didn't do better than your previous test out.
Mhm.
Well, then you need to look at what are you doing? Like, how's your stress management? How's your hydration?
How's your
How's your
sleep?
nutrition?
Yeah.
How's your sleep hygiene? What are you doing in your life that's consistent? Is the timing of your sleep consistent? Or are you getting 8 hours, but sometimes it starts at 3 a.m. and then sometimes it starts at 9 a.m.?
Mhm.
There's all these different factors that play into part. If you're a female, when is your cycle? And when was your cycle the last time you PR'd? That is huge. How's the weather? Because that can affect it too. If it's really hot, then you sweat more, then you could be more dehydrated.
Yeah.
Running, it affects more because there's all these elements: wind, heat, cold. All these things could potentially make you not as optimal as the previous time.
So it's like awareness.
Yes.
Success at lifelong learning is some awareness of all the factors that go into what you're doing, what
Yes.
you're
Body
attempting,
awareness, spatial awareness.
and then kind of like routine awareness,
Yes.
ritual awareness,
Emotional awareness.
emotional awareness.
Yes.
Because that gets to that letting go part. A part of success is not letting the emotions rule you,
Yes.
but kind of probably letting them be around enough to motivate you,
Yeah.
but not enough to bring you down.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, last last Wednesday was awesome for me, as much as I previously told you that I had a really bad day, but it didn't affect my lifting. It actually probably made it better because I was upset. But
Because you were lifting
but
hard
I
when
was
you're upset.
I don't typically, because I'm usually too in my feels, but I focused on what I was there to do instead of all the other exterior things that were frustrating me or, bothering me. And I ended up PRing in everything that I did. And it was insane and crazy.
What?
Yeah. And it made me feel really great. And then it reminded me, you have to let go and you have to just, it's just a leaf on a river, let it pass.
Yeah.
Recognize it, but let it go.
Let it go.
Because you're gonna fog or blind yourself to new potential you if you keep just harboring old crap. That's probably more than likely made up in your mind anyway.
Well, the failures that we have, the falling down, the the next iteration is just as like meaningful as in a success, maybe even more so. You've learned something.
Yeah.
There's some kind of F around and find out that occurred there.
Yes.
And now you have found out.
Yeah.
And so you need to approach it differently with, maybe through ritual changes, body changes, all
Yes.
those things you were talking about. But mindset is going to get you through that.
Yes. And like recognizing like what's important to you. I think that a lot of people get hung up on what their social status or like schedule should be, and I think that socializing is very important, but learning how to balance it. You don't have to party every day. You can party, but not every day. You need to learn how to do like a 90-10. Like, are you 90% following your true self and 10% just kind of go on a whim? Or is it
Messing
the other
around.
way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you need to live.
You need to, well, when you say partying, it's like you need
Well,
relaxation. You need
partying,
kind of like,
eating a dozen donuts,
yeah,
going out and staying up late.
being fancy free, kind of like
Yes.
indulging
Not
in,
having a strict regimented schedule or, having pancakes for breakfast even though you didn't run. Like, you don't need to have all these parameters all the time,
yeah,
but you still have to understand and be true to yourself and realistic with yourself. If you give yourself too many freebies or gifts or gold stars, one, how cool are they anymore? Like they're losing their value and worth
yeah.
because it's just now a day-to-day thing in your life. Chips and salsa rock my world,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's because I don't eat it every day.
Chips and queso, girl. What are you
Chips
talking
and
about?
guac and queso mixed together. Ah,
Oh, yeah.
yes. But
We're talking about discipline now.
yeah, discipline is important.
We're talking about discipline.
But that goes with everything else. How can you have emotional awareness and spatial awareness and all of that other stuff if you don't have discipline?
Yeah,
Because you have to be disciplined to be able to understand or recognize any of those things we talked about.
yeah. Dang.
You can't have consistency if you don't know how to be disciplined.
Right.
Your teeth are going to rot.
Ritual is discipline is a part of ritual. Letting go is a part of discipline's also a part of letting go.
Everything's interconnected.
Keep trying. That's also
Yeah.
part of discipline,
Yes.
because and it's kind of an allegiance to yourself.
Yeah.
There's this like, hey, I got my back.
Yes.
I am my best supporter. Period.
I care about me
Me.
and understanding that you're worth it,
Yeah.
because that's where I feel most lies with most of my clients is that they don't think they deserve it.
Self-worth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge.
Dang.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Three, three is, I mean, we kind of touch upon this in the last two, but what do you think the benefits of lifelong learning are?
Self-worth.
Self-worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like self-worth, growth and development. Like that's going to come from self-worth. Like once you figure all these things out, and I'm telling you, like it took me years to feel this way. I didn't really care about myself and like recognize my value until I was 34. I'm 40. Like, what? I could have had so many more cooler years. I didn't have bad years, and I don't regret anything. That was my way of learning,
Yeah.
but it took me that long. So don't have this like unrealistic expectation of like finding out and figuring it out and like knowing and then having this perfect life right off the bat. I still have things that I don't like going on, but overall, my life's pretty rad. And I appreciate who I am and where I am and what I have accomplished because I see them as accomplishments now where I didn't before.
And that makes sense. Lifelong learning is equal to self-investment. Like you're
Yeah.
investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that what you invest in has greater worth.
That's when I do a consultation with a one-on-one, that is what I have to talk to them about because, pricing and budgeting comes up. It's
Mhm.
important. It's very important. But also time budget. How much are you actually, truly, realistically going to budget time for yourself? How many times are you going to work out this week? How many times are you willing to work out every week? How many times are you going to, you know, run or how many times anything? You can look at it in any way, but if they're not going to be willing, oh, well, my schedule's this and that, and they start going on about how crazy busy they are,
Mhm.
they're not ready.
No, they're not ready.
And then if it becomes the money thing, oh, there is something to be said about not being able to afford something because you're going through a financial issue. That is a thing. But if you're saying that it's way too expensive, but you just talked to me about some lavish resort trip,
Yeah, you're
or
prioritizing things
yeah,
differently.
your stupid purse that you just bought with your nails, like you're just not ready yet and your
Right.
priorities are off.
Right.
So that's really important for people to recognize and understand that it is an investment because you might think I'm expensive, but if you put everything into your investment that I offer, then it's not.
Yeah.
It's really affordable because I just changed your life
Yeah.
and you changed your life.
And you're investing when they make those commitments, it's a time investment. In those moments when they're exercising, when they're actively, there's like it's a meditative component. Like if you're
Yeah.
running, like there is something
Yeah, there's breath work.
there's something about worshiping yourself during that time or
You have
worshiping.
one sanctuary.
Yeah.
And surgery is going to be way more expensive, and chronic disease is going to be way more expensive than any service I have to offer.
Yeah.
So you might not be paying for it now.
The benefits of lifelong learning is worth.
Yes.
That's what you get when you invest in yourself is
Yeah.
a greater worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all need that.
Yes, we do.
I know I do.
Except for this fly.
That fly, you're gonna try to get that fly?
No, I'm not going to try to get it.
You're gonna be the Buddha?
Oh, well, if it just stays there, then I won't be distracted anymore. So
Yeah,
that'd
just
be
stay there, fly.
Stay.
Should we name that fly? It's been with us for a while now.
Alfred.
Alfred.
Oh my God, Alfred has a friend.
Oh my God. It might be a
Scooter.
girlfriend. Scooter. Alfred and Scooter.
Yes.
Man, how did you come upon, this is the fourth question.
Yeah.
How did you come upon this way of living? Like, where did you get
Oh
the,
man. I mean, realistically, it's probably because of my background. I did not come from a great family. I lived on my own since I was 16. I graduated high school on my own. Didn't realize that I could like even drop out until after I graduated, which was scary to me. Like that was even a choice. And then my grandparents were kind enough to pay for me to go to cosmetology school after high school because I didn't know what to do because I didn't understand that they would even want me to go to college. They never talked about it. They just, I guess, thought that I would feel it in the wind. I'm not sure. But so I decided cosmetology. I'm not really sure why. Um, but I was good at it and I loved it. And I was always really interested in learning more than anybody could ever offer. Like, why are you using this specific chemical in shampoo? That, like, those kind of questions.
Mhm.
And I think it just was inherently in me. But I've always lived a very, very different lifestyle because I've lived on my own. I've lived on my own since I was 16. I finished cosmetology school. After cosmetology school, I started working at a salon and day spa. By the time I was 19, I built a house. It was being built. It wasn't done until just shy of me being 21. But I was working my butt off, and then the '08 crash happened, and then I realized I needed to swerve because nobody's getting their hair colored and cut as much.
'Cause they don't have money.
Yeah, because they don't have money. So I immediately recognized that and then got into marketing. And so then I worked for various marketing firms, mostly contracted with AT&T, which was disgusting, but I worked in like various situations like kiosks. I did feet on the street, which I was excellent at. You would have to hang door hangers and you would get paid for 6 hours no matter what. And you had this route. And so I just ran it all. So I would get done in 2 hours and still get paid six, while everybody else would, like, take their time and do it for 6 hours.
Wow, because you were just crushing it
Yeah,
really
no, and
fast.
then I could have more opportunity or time for doing more hair or finding another contract to work.
So it seems like necessity.
Oh, it totally flight or fight, my entire life, and definitely, fear. But interested in growing and learning based off of fear, which I guess is a little bit better than nothing. But yeah, and so then I didn't, I've never loved marketing. That wasn't passionate to me. It was just giving people crap that they don't need. And I didn't like that. And then I worked for Philip Morris for a long time through marketing, and they wouldn't let me take any other contracts because you were so specialized in your training. So I'd just be stuck working music festivals and art festivals and working footprints, giving away cancer and trash. And so I just kind of got to the point where I was like, I got to find something else. And that's when I got into health and fitness. It was not very long that I was interested in health and fitness. I have always liked running and lifting and everything since high school
Mhm.
because of other people just, influencing me. And then after that, I went to the Cooper Institute, got my personal training certification, and that was the very first one. And it just kind of like went from there. I have a yoga certification in assisting, and I have a climbing certification. I used to coach a rock climbing team. I have a USA TNF track and field certification, and then like a whole bunch more. But that's what kind of like trailed me this way. And I've always been passionate and liked it. I've just had to find other avenues of making money because when I moved to Austin from Dallas Fort Worth area, it was about 14 years ago. I didn't really think about it because I was just trying to make my grandparents happy and I wanted to be close to them. They were healthy, so I wanted to have fun and, make memories with them. But then I thought, well, the health and fitness community is way more prevalent in Austin than in Dallas Fort Worth area.
Mm.
So it'll be better for my career. So I moved down, not thinking like, I don't know anybody. And so it was really hard. And I was really hungry. And I had to really lean on marketing for a long time before I started developing the niche that I went into. Because I did boot camps and all, I did the whole 9 yards. It was,
Like Camp Gladiator stuff?
I worked for that.
Yeah.
I did that for a while. I did adventure boot camp. I worked for various gyms. I mean,
You're a
all
hustler.
all of them were experiences, and yes, I am a hustler. I don't wanna be. I don't wanna be, but I'm thankful that I am. I've always been able to create some sort of income, and I'm very thankful for it now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and that's how I ended up here. Is a lot of things.
Y'all stick around after we do the 5 questions. Ashton's gonna talk about her life story. We always do the life story as the second part,
Yeah,
and we'll get to know more about kind of your childhood and how you came upon some of these decisions in
yeah,
more detail.
sweet.
5th question is, Like, where do you see where where's your pinnacles? Where's your mountaintops? Like, what do you see your, like, 10-year goals? Like, what do you
So I've really been thinking about that a lot lately because I'm pretty full of clients. I've been kind of doing workshops and I'm working on doing a couple of like 8-week series and stuff, but I'm trying to figure out like where do I want to take this because I'm not going to feel fulfilled just doing this forever.
Mhm,
And I also can't just do it forever. And so I kind of would like to take on other coaches and coach coaches how to coach. I don't know if that would be like generating my own certification or having some sort of mentorship or what. I have no idea how I would go about that because I feel the coaching culture, I feel like a lot of people feel like they know everything. And it's kind of sad because I think that we all have something to share with each other.
mhm,
And so convincing coaches that to get coached by another coach and learning a different perspective is kind of like hard. I don't know how to approach it yet.
mhm.
I think that there's a way. I think there's a way and I think I'll figure it out, but I don't know how yet.
So it's kind of like developing your not only brand on
Mhm.
one side of developing your brand, but also developing your system.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I approach these. It works, and I want to share that with folks so that they can benefit from it.
Yeah, because I do know that the way that I coach is different and the way that I articulate is different and the way that I kind of like have the stepping stones for learning for my clients is different and like understanding where to put them and how to troubleshoot when you do have something like they can't get depth or their knees keep caving in a squat or little
Mhm.
things like that instead of um just ignoring it or not doing anything about it or saying, oh, we'll just do this. What does just this mean? Sometimes people are good with visual cueing and seeing somebody do it. And other times people can see what you're doing and you can squat and then they'll press their arms overhead and you're just kind of like baffled. But that's because their brain works different. It's not because they didn't see what you did. It's just their connections in their brain are different to their body.
Yeah.
And so, like, being aware of that and not getting frustrated with the different learning styles is really important to me. And I would love to share that with others and expand on that, but I don't know how. Because,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't really ever like, I don't see myself ever wanting my own brick and mortar. And I don't really ever see myself ever wanting employees. Mentorship is different, but like employees in a brick and mortar, I, I, I mean, I'm not, like, completely closed off to it, but I'm not really open to it either. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I like working for myself for a reason, and if I was going to have any sort of employees, it would be, like, marketing or social media or
As opposed to teaching other coaches that would work for you.
yeah,
That's what you mean by
yeah, and
employees?
I mean, like and I'm not opposed of that again, but I am kind of because I feel like the coaches deserve every dollar that they get, and if they work for me, I'm gonna have to take some sort of percentage to continue to make passive income.
Yeah.
And so like, they're gonna pay me for mentorship or they're gonna pay me for a certification, and I feel like that's what's fair. But if I have a brick and mortar, then I have expenses, then I have to continue to keep doing what I'm doing and not focus on them,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Again, I think that there's a lot to think about, and I think that it's cool how I'm thinking about things, but I don't have like a good solid plan.
Not yet, but
No.
it's like you're putting all the building blocks there.
Yeah.
You just haven't figured out how they stack up
Yeah.
together
Not
yet. You're
yet.
taking entrepreneurial classes, you're taking, then all this kind of art class stuff, which is gotta support
Yeah.
creativity and all that. Then all of the certifications around movement and coaching. I mean,
Yeah.
as you get older, you'll be a mentor for folks just because of your years of experience and the way that you communicate about these things.
Yeah. No, and I can't wait. I love teaching. I really do. And I'm really thankful that I coach the way that I do. And I have the freedom because when I worked for people, I didn't. And I think that it almost made me quit coaching I love Crux because they're very hands off, but it's also because they just trust you. They trust that you know what you're doing,
Mm,
and that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, but they're like way more communal than most gyms. So yeah,
I'm definitely pro Crux.
yeah, no, they're great.
I go there every day,
I
pretty
don't go there
much.
every day. I need to go there more days than I do. People
Yeah,
are mind blown that I climb, and I'm like, no, that's actually one of my passions.
climbing.
Climbing and cycling. I love them both.
Yeah, me too. I love
Yeah.
cycling and climbing. That's the 5 questions. We did it.
Yay!
We talked about how to fail at lifelong learning, and that was being closed-minded.
Yeah,
We talked about how to succeed at lifelong learning, and that was kind of resilience. Keep trying, is what you said, and also letting go of emotions, letting them fuel your growth, but
yeah.
not like weigh
You
your
down.
despair. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about the benefits, which was self worth.
Yeah.
Investing in yourself, you're going to have a higher worth. You're going
Yeah.
to take that into all of your endeavors
Yeah.
and have more confidence.
Yes, you should. Everyone deserves it.
Then we talked about how you got into it, and it seemed like it was through the way you were raised and different like market influences. Like we had that crash where people weren't getting their hair done or
Yeah.
getting dyes, and you just had to make a move. And it was actually having this like hustle mentality
Yeah.
and being a hustler, being someone that's like kind of on your own was the feeling that I got. No one was like paying your bills, no one was supporting you. You
No.
had to support yourself.
Yeah.
And so part of that was learning, learning, learning,
Yes.
learning, learning.
I was unfortunate, but very fortunate to not have a safety net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the same boat on that.
Yeah.
And then the fifth one, the question was, where do you see all this going? And you're not sure yet, but you
Yeah.
kind of have a foggy view of
Yeah.
marketing and, well, branding and marketing, some certificate that is like Ashtyn's way of doing it,
Yeah.
Ashtyn's approach. For some reason, what comes to mind is like Bruce Lee, the way that Bruce Lee combined a bunch of different modalities and said, like, here's the way I view martial arts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that he's so cool.
Super.
I want to be cool when I grow up. Yeah, that would be rad. Like to kind of have like all these different approaches and then form it into one. I
To
mean, that's why I have so many certifications is because I take the bits and pieces that I like and believe in and then create it and morph it with how I coach.
Yeah, 5 questions.
Yay, we did it.
We did it.
Woohoo.